Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to have a discussion on this subject, and I'm pleased to be one of the co-sponsors of the legislation that we have. I represent in West Virginia another, just like you, Mr. Mayfield, a rural, impoverished state that struggles. We have the highest rate of unemployment. We have the second lowest per capita income. In my district, I have two cities that have 30,000 people. Otherwise, every community is smaller than that. I've got one community that only has 500 people. A seasonal community that maybe can grow to 2,000 during the winter. And they had a little problem. Here's a water line that they tried for 10 years to get funds for. And it only has the ability to pass maybe about 22% of the water through that line. But they can't get money. So I applaud this effort to try to get more technical assistance, but I'm wondering if we're chasing the wrong rabbit. I mean, it's good to get this, to get people lined up into the queue to get money, but we got to get the money. We got to have more money at the other end. The state revolving fund has been used as a pawn, and I know in 2013, the president in his budget slashed almost 50% out of the money out of the SRF. And if it weren't for members on the other side of the aisle when working with the Appropriation Committee, we were able to get that money restored. But I don't know whether the administration and other people within the groups actually feel the need for rural America with the problems we have with this, because this was done not with not one dime of federal money. They finally had to get the state to step in because everyone was saying there's just no federal money. We can't do it because you're such a small community. I've got another community that has 75 families that they have to get bottled water, and they've been doing it for 2 years. They get their potable water so that they can flush their toilets out of a creek. These are middle-income people that have homes that are $100,000 to $150,000 to $200,000 in value, and they can't sell their home. Who's going to buy a home that doesn't have water to it? So I'm very concerned about this. I want this legislation to pass, but I'm even more so concerned that we are giving false hope to people, get people in the queue to get money, but there's no money because the allocation and the administration or whatever the programs are, they're not funding it into rural communities to be able to help out on that. I know all the words sound right, but in the real world, I think as we live in, small communities aren't getting that money. And so what would you do then to help refocus this so that this administration or any administration can understand the hardship that's occurring on small towns, these little communities of 500 or 1,000 people? What would you do to get more money into that account?
Well, I think that's something that we need to sit down and take a long look at. That the smaller systems gets more, is looked at more, that they could be as competitive as the larger systems are. Let me just. Would
you agree that one of the criteria they always say is, where's your matching money? But a small town of 500 can't come up with that matching money. I've got a community that has to come up with $12.5 million. What are they going to do? They only have 550 customers.
That's right. And there again, at some point in time, that's where consolidation and merging may have to come into the picture when these smaller towns cannot come up with this matching money.
I would say that there is no doubt that the water utilities in this country are underinvested, and it's not just the EPA SRF programs; it's rural development's water and environment programs. They need more funding because you can't have one without the other. You need the technical assistance. One thing for EPA's credit and rural development also is that they've been stressing, just like our two organizations have for 40 years, asset management. You know, how do you take care of the equipment, the facilities that you have? I mean, and so EPA has been pushing on that. Both of our organizations have been putting on that to sort of, maintain that investment, once it's actually made. But if you don't make the investment, and as we know, this country is still growing, and there's still needs that haven't been met. There's people in your state and in many other states that don't even have community water system that are hauling water. And without that kind of investment, those people are never going to get community water systems. So I think both NRWA and RCAP, I can't speak for NRWA, RCAP definitely supports some increased funding for the SRF programs and the water environment
Well,
program.
I've run out of time, but can you just give me an idea, what kind of money should we be spending? Knowing that the SRF is just one amount and there are other sources, what kind of money should we be spending annually?
That's a tough one because, I mean, as we've heard, the needs are so great. The needs are in the trillions. I mean, you know, an incremental increase, I mean, even if it was just 10% a year in each of those two programs, I mean, something to start making a dent in the backlog that we've seen, anything would help.
You would agree?
I totally agree.
Thank you. I yield back my time.
Gentleman